Good day, students. This will be your discussion video for Psychology 104N or Developmental Psychology subject. For this particular subject, you will be examining the different stages of development of a person's lifespan. It is essential to know the development of a person because as we go along with the different topics of this subject, you will be able to understand more a specific group of people whenever you'll have the chance to encounter them. For example, if you'll become a parent someday, you'll already have a background knowledge on what to expect in that specific age range. May it be the motor skills of a child, social skills, cognitive development, and many more. It is also important to study lifespan development to gain insight into what your life will be like as you grow older. What is life expectancy? So life expectancy is the average number of years that a person born in a particular year can expect to live. An example scenario here was that in 2016, the life expectancy in the United States was 79 years of age. On the other hand, here in the Philippines, for the year 2020, the life expectancy for the Philippines was 71.28 years, a 0.18% increase from 2019. Based on the data shown, a lot of countries around the globe have an increasing life expectancy as the year progresses. The reason here is that there are already improvements in sanitation, nutrition, and medicine unlike before. The lifespan perspective views development as lifelong, multidimensional, multidirectional, plastic, multidisciplinary, and contextual, and as a process that involves growth, maintenance, and regulation of laws. To understand this better, the lifespan perspective has different components and we will discuss it one by one. So development is lifelong. So this means that development is not completed in infancy or childhood or at any specific age. It encompasses the entire lifespan from conception to death. Development is multidimensional, meaning it involves the dynamic interaction of factors like physical, emotional, and psychosocial development. Whatever age you might be, your body, mind, emotions, and relationships are changing and affecting each other. Development is multidirectional. So as we age, some dimensions of functioning decline, while others improve. So for example, physical stamina gradually decreases as we age, but our accumulated knowledge, or what we call wisdom, tends to gradually increase. Development is plastic. So plasticity means the capacity for change. So for example, can you still improve your intellectual skills when you are in your 70s or 80s? Or might these intellectual skills be fixed by the time you are in your 30s so that further improvement is possible? So researchers have found that the cognitive skills of older adults can be improved through training and the acquisition of effective strategies. The downside of it is that there is a possibility that as we grow older, we might possess less capacity for change. The field of developmental science involves a lot of academic disciplines or professional specializations in an approach that tackles unlocking the mysteries of development through the lifespan. Psychologists, sociologists, anthropologists, neuroscientists, and medical researchers all share an interest in this field. All development occurs within a context or setting. So contexts include families, schools, peer groups, churches, cities, neighborhoods, university laboratories, countries, and so on. So each of these settings is influenced by historical, economic, social, and cultural factors. So as individuals age into middle and late adulthood, the maintenance and regulation of laws in their capacities takes center stage away from growth. Thus, a 75-year-old man might aim not to improve his memory or his golf swing but to maintain his independence and his ability to play golf at all. So we will discuss these ideas about maintenance and regulation of laws in greater depth in the chapters on physical and cognitive development in middle adulthood. Development is a co-construction of biology, culture, and the individual. So for example, the brain shapes culture, but it is also shaped by culture and the experiences that individuals have or pursue. So in terms of individual factors, we can go beyond what our genetic inheritance and environment give us. So we can author a unique developmental path by actively choosing from the environment the things that optimize our lives. So we have our own will to do things and be flexible of what situation we're in despite what's happening in our environment or the genetic inheritance such as skills or capabilities that we have. We can change it. Health, parenting, and education. So like development itself are all shaped by their socio-cultural context. To analyze this context, four concepts are especially useful. So the culture, ethnicity, socioeconomic status or SES, and gender. Culture, so whatever its size, the group's culture influences the behavior of its members. Thus, can have an impact on one's development. The culture that we have in that specific group is behavior patterns and beliefs that are being passed from one generation to another. Ethnicity. So ethnic comes from the Greek word for nation, which is rooted in cultural heritage, nationality, race, religion, and language. So ethnicity also plays a role in one's development. A special concern to this is the discrimination and prejudice experienced by ethnic minority children. So some studies showed that if a person belongs to a strong ethnic group and at the same time has strong ties and group affiliation with others, chances are they have a lower risk for psychiatric problems. Socioeconomic status or SES refers to a person's position within society based on occupational, educational, and economic characteristics. So it is for a fact that socioeconomic status gives certain inequalities, and these differences of privilege or treatment based on your SES can also affect one's development. So those people that are categorized by society as poor were not able to fully participate in society's rewards and opportunities compared to those that are well off. Gender. So as we grow up, we are being taught by our environment or community of what to expect or the expected roles that we should portray based on the gender that we have. So if you are born as a male, then you need to show masculinity. On the other hand, as a female, you should show femininity. So there are instances that a person strongly identifies oneself that is opposite to his biological features. That's why we have the LGBTQ plus community now. And as time that they will embrace and identify themselves, there are also changes happening to their development. So at the beginning of this chapter, we define development as the pattern of change that begins at conception and continues through the lifespan. The pattern is complex because it is the product of biological, cognitive, and socio-emotional processes. So biological processes produce changes in an individual's physical nature. The genes inherited from parents, brain development, height and weight gains, changes in motor skills, nutrition, exercise, the hormonal changes of puberty, and cardiovascular decline are all examples of biological processes that affect development. Cognitive processes refer to changes in the individual's thought, intelligence, and language, while socio-emotional processes involve changes in the individual's relationships with other people, so changes in emotions and personality changes. Biological, cognitive, and socio-emotional processes are inextricably intertwined. So, in many instances, biological, cognitive, and socio-emotional processes are bidirectional. So, for example, biological processes can influence cognitive processes and vice versa. So, thus, although usually we will study the different processes of development separately, keep in mind that we are talking about the development of an integrated individual with a mind and body that are interdependent. The unfolding of life's periods of development is influenced by the interaction of biological, cognitive, and socio-emotional processes. The most widely used classification of developmental periods involves the 8-period sequence shown in the figure. So, approximate age ranges are listed for the periods to provide a general idea of when each period begins and ends. Lifespan developmentalists also focus on adult development, and aging increasingly describe lifespan development in terms of 4 ages. So the major emphasis in this conceptualization is on the 3rd and 4th ages. So especially the increasing evidence that individuals in the 3rd age are healthier and can lead more active, productive lives than their predecessors in earlier generations. However, when older adults reach their 80s or the 4th age, especially 85 and over, health and well-being decline for many individuals. So here are some developmental issues. So first, nature and nurture. So the nature versus nurture debate is the scientific, cultural, and philosophical debate about whether human culture, behavior, and personality are caused primarily by nature or nurture. So nature is often defined in this debate as genetic or hormone-based behaviors such as traits and dispositions, while nurture is most commonly defined as environment, culture, and experience. Second, stability and change. So stability implies personality traits present during infancy endure throughout the lifespan. In contrast, change theorists argue that personalities are modified by interactions with family, experiences at school, and acculturation. Third, continuity and discontinuity. So the continuity view says that change is gradual. Children become more skillful in thinking, talking, or acting much the same way as they get taller. So the the discontinuity view sees development as more abrupt, a succession of changes that produce different behaviors in different age-specific life periods called stages. So the following are famous theories of development, which we will talk about it separately in a more detailed discussion video. So for psychoanalytic theories, one of the most famous here is Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory, wherein he presented the psychosexual stages. There's also Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory, wherein it shows the 8 lifespan stages. One of the proponents of the cognitive theories is John Piaget's cognitive development. And lastly, for behavioral and social cognitive theories, we have B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning and Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory. So whether we are interested in studying attachment in infants, the cognitive skills of children, or social relationships in older adults, we can choose from several ways of collecting data. So here, we outline the measures most often used, beginning with observation. So observation, may it be in laboratory setting or naturalistic or real-world setting, we make observations based on the participants of our study. Second, survey and interview. This is the best and quickest way to get information about people and to ask them for it. So one technique is to interview them directly. A related method is a survey, sometimes referred to as a questionnaire, so which is especially useful when information from many people is needed. Third, standardized test. So a standardized test has uniform procedures for administration and scoring. Many standardized tests allow a person's performance to be compared with that of other individuals. Thus, they provide information about individual differences among people. These are examinations that your scores will be interpreted to determine personality or intelligence as a person. Fourth is case study. So a case study is an in-depth look at a single individual. So case studies are performed mainly by mental health professionals when for either practical or ethical reasons. The unique aspect of an individual's life cannot be duplicated and tested in other individuals. So a case study provides information about one person's experiences. It may focus on nearly any aspect of the subject's life that helps the researcher understand the person's mind, behavior, and other attributes. And lastly, physiological measures. So a common example here is the electroencephalography, or EEG, that is used to monitor overall electrical activity in the brain. So this has been used in research studies to determine the attention and memory of a person. So before you conduct your study, you need to take into consideration the ethical standard of research. So here are some important reminders to follow as future researchers here in our university. So first, informed consent. So all participants in your study must know what the research participation will involve and what risk might develop. So even after informed consent is given, participants must retain the right to withdraw from the study at any time and for any reason. So you cannot force your participants to participate as respondents of your study. Second, confidentiality. So researchers are responsible for keeping all of the data they gather on individuals completely confidential and, when possible, completely anonymous. So have a coding and proper filing and security of the data you will gather. Third, debriefing. So after the study has been completed, participants should be informed of its purpose and the methods that were used. So as a researcher, you can also inform the participants before you conduct the study and tell them what's the purpose of your research. Fourth, deception. So in some cases, telling the participants beforehand what the research study about substantially alters the participants' behavior and invalidates the researcher's data. So in all cases of deception, however, the researcher must ensure that the deception will not harm the participants and that the participants will be debriefed and told the complete nature of the study as soon as possible after the study is completed. Okay, so that ends my discussion video for this particular topic. Kindly check other discussion videos here on this YouTube channel. I've also posted the specific links on our Google Classrooms for you to be guided. So if you have questions or clarifications about this discussion video, kindly contact me through my University of Bohol Facebook account. Thank you for your attention. Here is the reference.